Welcome to the Rockhound Podcast. This week we have a brand new guest. Go ahead and take it away.
What's going on, guys? My name is Tyler. I'm also known as the Geode Cracker and Collector over on YouTube.
Where are you from?
Awesome.
I'm located out of the south side of Chicago. I'm in the small suburb of Lansing, Illinois. Not Lansing, Michigan. Lansing, Illinois. We're a lot smaller.
Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you. It is
Welcome.
an honor to be here. So I apologize if I'm a little bit nervous because I definitely am.
Don't be nervous.
No.
Everyone's been nervous, and like after a while, they're like, "Oh, that wasn't so fast. Like we're hanging out."
Yeah, we don't
Yep.
bite. It's all good. Thank you so much for coming on, Tyler. And thank everybody for tuning in tonight. We're interested in where you're tuning in from as well. So definitely drop that into the comments. And I'm Karen from Ozone Fine Art Ventures out here in Oregon. And what about you, Kurt?
Oh, my name is Kurt with Rock.Hounding.Adventures out in Western Colorado. And what about you, Kyle?
And I am Mild Kyle from World of Rock Hounds, also here in Oregon. So, yeah, that's our introductions. So, Karen, who are our shout-outs from last week?
Well, first of all, I want to definitely, on behalf of all of us, thank everybody for sending out those wonderful rocks for our group show and tell, the viewer show and tell. They were spectacular, and it's not too late. We will have a number 3, probably ad infinitum. So send us your pictures, and we will feature your pictures and stories on our next viewer show and tell. And go check that out if you didn't have a chance to. And I'm going to start with Ruth Fotris. Rooted Rockhound was surprised, Kyle, that you were still using a broomstick rig.
Oh, I still am to this day because the one I want's $130.
That's it.
And
But- Sorry, but
yes.
I can actually afford to get that because since I got my channel monetized, I got a little bit of pennies here and there from some ad revenue that can actually help pay for an actual camera rigging. So
Awesome.
There was great rejoicing. And actually, I wanted to ask that quick question because I think a lot of people out there in both the world of YouTube videoing and also just generally, does anybody have suggestions as to good tripods, camera mounts, that sort of thing?
Yes.
For you guys, and then also drop them in the comments. But Tyler, Kurt,
No, I I just did a live stream yesterday and I ragged on my awful
that's
tripod.
right. Like it kept on toppling on you.
It was just, it is terrible. It does its job. I like it because it's got my mount for my phone and then it's got a double ring light. So it really works to light up my garage and my space where I do my show, but it is just so floppy and I've super glued it back together like 4 different times. So I don't know how much longer I can super glue. So I definitely need a recommendation. So I'm right there with everybody. So if anybody knows, please let us know.
I'll put some
Wow.
links in the bio of the stuff that I use.
It sounds like we hit an Achilles heel here. How about you, Kurt? Do you have a
I
preference?
just use I bought a tripod 5 years ago for when I was doing landscape photography, and that's the one I use today. It still looks brand new and works like it first did when I pulled it out of the package. It's a Mi Photo tripod, and yeah, it works great. I just use a phone like adapter to hold the phone, and I probably need to upgrade and get some like lights and brighten up my workspace whenever I do projects. But that'll come in the future. So
Well, you always have such gorgeous shots, so it's working.
Oh yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. And so Bob's Rocks also suggested a DJI camera mount with stabilization that can follow you. Thank you, Bob. Although still, folks out there, if you've got some great ideas, I know that Kyle is looking to get something, and I am as well. And so before my money burns a hole in my pocket, you guys can help me out. And it sounds like actually Tyler is going to benefit from this as well.
Yes, definitely.
Help us. Okay. Crystal was hoping that we would have some information about Wolfenite. Kyle, did you help her?
I do not have any information.
And Kurt, did you help her? I think that you got to talk to her. Right?
I was talking to her. I ended up looking it up because I wasn't sure what it is, but it's a very beautiful mineral. I don't know much about it. I was hoping maybe you or Kyle would know a little bit more about Wolfenite. So
I might have some.
Of course he has some.
You got some up there on the shelf somewhere.
I know.
I got a little bit of everything.
He's gonna at some point he's gonna have those like in the museums, you know how they pull out the wall and it like has like walls and walls and walls of drawers and things like that. I expect him to do that one of these days. That it's not just the stuff on the facade, but there's a hidden room back there.
Someday, it'd be nice. So I might have some Wolfenite here. Yeah, the little orange crystals.
Yep.
Well, Kurt, do you remember anything about it? Because I do not know anything about it.
I do not. Okay. If I had a computer spin right next to me, I could tell you all about it. But I'm using my phone for videoing, so I don't have anything to look up.
There's a lot of it that's like not quite gem grade, so there's a lot of like more kind of fun specimen stuff out there, but then there's gemmy stuff where you can actually facet it and create like some pretty high zoot jewelry out of it as well. So I think that there's a fairly large range between I think it's kind of like not as coveted as the rainbow lattice sunstone, but you've got here's my specimen grade stuff that certainly won't make gem, and then you've got this stuff all the way to like put it in a ring and people are going to go wow, because it's also sort of on the, I guess, rare side.
I do want to apologize. People saw me in my jammies, and sorry, not sorry. I'm comfortable.
I didn't notice jammies.
I didn't notice either.
Oh, everybody's gonna be like scrubbing back. Like,
yeah, go back 20 seconds. What happened?
Don't. Mary Beth enjoyed all the show and tells, and she participated as well as Dustin finds rock. Same deal. Gordon, who had the spirulitic rhyolite, said that there was a girl with glasses, a redhead girl with glasses. So that's another thing in the show and tell. We're supposed to go back and find the hidden image in his rhyolite, which looked like, if you guys remember, it looked like the sun.
I can see it in my head. Yeah.
Or you wanted you were on dead sunflowers.
Yeah,
right?
but I can also see the sunglasses too.
Oh wow. Okay. Like I don't have it right in front of me. So thank you, Gordon, who is also the New Zealand Rocks Down Under, I think is the name of his channel. Okay, thank you for that. Claude suggested that we leave the photos up for longer. I guess he was really digging the eye candy.
Noted.
So for the next show and tell, apparently, like maybe we don't see our faces or something. Like what? You want to see
leave
a rock?
Photos up longer. Nobody wants to see Kyle's mug.
Or pajamas. Okay. So Hasu Andre, who has been, I think he's been watching since the very beginning, is loving the podcast very much and always looking forward to new guests. So this week he's going to love it because Tyler's on. He's a totally new guest. Michelle enjoyed the giggles. And I don't know if Michelle or anybody else knew, but I was running a fever that night. And so that's why I think there were so many giggles coming from my department. And so she's sending big love from Canada. Julie, Marlene, Keith, and Michael totally digging the show. Sandmaker was checking in from Ohio, Kentucky, enjoying the fried chicken there. Tennessee, Georgia. My goodness, where is he now? Who knows? But definitely stay healthy, Sandmaker. He said something about seeing you tomorrow, Kurt. Did he come to Colorado? No. Are you sure? Are you sure?
Well, as far as I know,
the Sandmaker.
I haven't seen him.
Okay, maybe he just meant he was going to see a video of yours. All right, and then Cliff Walker had a question, which actually I'd love for you guys to also answer, kind of like this tripod question. So, do you sort your material by type or location? Because I think that's interesting. What do you say, Tyler?
I sort my geodes by geode or geode. Well, given that 90% of my stuff is geodes, I definitely sort it by location, especially the stuff that I find Southern Indiana into Kentucky and Tennessee. All the exteriors of their geodes are very, very similar. So I like to try and keep those separate. Mainly places I hunt are Indiana and Kentucky. I like to keep Kentucky ones separate because those ones I like to try and save for cutting, because those have the potential for some Kentucky agate and things like that. Once I crack them open, I kind of separate them by quartz and then like the minerals that are inside. So
okay, so you do like kind
of location and then kind of like a specification after that.
Yeah. Good, bad, ugly.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about you, Kurt?
I just throw all mine into a bin and I label it what state it's from, and if it's what I found, I just throw it into a bin, and I know where exactly it came from, each specimen, and when I found it and where I found it and so forth. But if it's like minerals that were gifted to me, I keep those in the box they came in until I have a display space. Oh, wait.
Hi, kitty. So you remember every specimen? Like, yes. You've got that kind of, I love that. That's so cool.
I was actually wondering if other people do that or because like,
I'm with you on that.
Cool.
It's kind of crazy. Given how many geodes I crack and things like that, I can typically remember like what creek it's from, or sometimes even like I can remember early on if it's like one of my early shows, or if it was like recent, like 4 months, I can typically remember like which show I cracked it on and things like that. Wow. Even when it's just tossed in a bin. I have awful memory. My wife will attest to it. She will swear up and down. I'll forget to put shoes on sometimes, but with the rocks, and it's just something
exactly.
Something
that's exactly
priorities.
So
yes.
I mean, I've got a bit of ADHD, so I think that's kind of part of it too. Like sometimes I just inadvertently fixate on different things, but it's I can definitely remember the rocks and where they came from. So
yep.
How about you, Kyle?
That's cool.
Well, considering that like what, between 90 to 95% of my collection is bought through rock estates, that's kind of hard, because when I initially bought those, the first couple big estates, I was gonna organize everything in the backyard by material, by color, as far as jasper, separating the red and the green, yellows, tans, and I was gonna have everything color coordinated, and agates, clear, white, red, orange, have everything color coordinated that way. But it got to the point about 20 buckets in, I'm like, this is dumb. I'm going to just I'm just gonna have a pile for obsidian, pile for agate nodules, thunder eggs, petrified wood, and then agates, jasper, miscellany, just all in one big pile. I mean, most of the carnelian agates like are kind of in their own like small pile, but for the most part, like, I mean, I still have to sort the rest of the buckets I got from my last one. Like, I'm not done yet. So
wow. Yeah.
I mean, and the rock room is different. I do kind of organize stuff a little bit differently in here. Yes. Need my little monocle. Oh.
Yeah.
There you go.
But no, like the shelf is like in the far wall, like that's all petrified wood. And then there's a shelf for fossils, and the shelf right next to me, that's all the stuff I got from other channels as gifts, or gifts and trades and stuff like that. So I try to keep stuff separated that way. And there are a few other rocks that if I had it on a video, it's probably here in the room. That way I can be like, oh, I remember that video. But it all depends on which rock area you're talking about. It's going to depend on that answer.
Right on. So a little bit of everything. Excellent question, Cliff Walker. Jared, thank you so much for that question. And those are the shouts.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
All right.
Thanks.
What about everyone's oh my gosh, how was everyone's week? Current projects, future projects, etc. Tyler, want to go first?
Yeah, I will take it away. Well, this week on Tuesday, I got to go over to High Tech Diamond and pick up a 10-inch slab saw. So that was pretty exciting. I was definitely felt like a kid on Christmas. I was excited. Driving home, like white knuckling it, just so excited. Like, I just want to get home and get it unpacked and start putting it together. And it was a nice saw. So got started with that. Cut some different things. I've had buckets and buckets, and I've got a dresser out there full of stuff that I've just been saving to cut and for a good saw. So I've been working on that. I've got a video that is going to be coming out featuring some rocks from 406 Findings from Travis. He and we just did a trade. That video was supposed to go out today, but thanks to wonderful technology, it did not want to export properly. So I'm working on hopefully not having to redo that video, but fingers crossed that'll be airing just before this video that everybody's watching now. Otherwise, that'll be coming out next week sometime. And then other than that, now that I've got a saw, I'm trying to incorporate that into my roster of things that I do. If you guys are unfamiliar with me or my channel, I do weekly live geode crackings over on YouTube. Sometimes I do it on Facebook. So now I have the capability of doing some cutting of some pretty cool stuff. So I'm like, I can't stream every single night, even though I want to. So I've got to try and prioritize and and see what I want to do. So it's a lot of exciting stuff going on.
Nice.
Yeah, I definitely want to hear a little bit more about the live streaming later. We absolutely can't pass by some of the logistics as far as that's concerned. I think not only a lot of people would be interested in hearing what that's like out there, but maybe I know that I'm intrigued by doing it, and yet I haven't jumped off of the diving board yet into the icy cold water. So like, I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Cool. And so
chat about that.
Nice. Is that your week? Is that a wrap up?
Yeah. Or? And I mean, other than that, we've got haven't officially announced anything publicly yet. But the wife and I, we've got a baby on the way. So we are getting prepared for that. So we are about 10 and a half weeks. First trimester for her, she kind of endures some 24/7 morning sickness. So it's been a little chaotic, but she's doing better. We're getting close to finishing up the first trimester. So we just got to tell our 7-year-old daughter, Paisley, which you guys, if you watched my channel before, you've seen her. She pops in sometimes and cracks some geodes with me. But we got to tell her last week, so she's really excited. Our son is only 18 and a half months, so he doesn't quite understand that there's a baby on the way yet. But once he's old enough to quite get it, I think he will be excited too. So lots of great stuff going on.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
That's awesome.
Yay.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations.
Karen?
All right. It was a roller coaster week out here on the coast. We had that kind of weather that goes in between squall and super sunny and balmy. And so it was a super confusion as to know what project to start and what clothes to wear for sure. I really wanted to get into a carving project, and as a lot of you know, I like to work outside, and so I'm literally like into stage 2 of a carving project, and then like it's torrenting on me and my machinery, and so I did actually get a chance to go through the carving project, and that's going to be my show and tell for tonight. I got a chance to drop a short I'm with you, Tyler, as far as like crazy freeform stuff. And so it's up that alley for sure. And so Yeah. Dropped a short for that there was the ongoing saga of that almost holly blue agate that I got for a client that turned into a cabochon and then 3 cabochons, and 2 of them turned into rings. Then she decided to get 2 rings. She ordered 2 rings. And so the last short was just the rock and then to 2 rings in under a minute. So that's kind of fun. I love the instant grat of the shorts, you know. Let's just cut to the chase and see the thing. And so she was over the moon. She received her rings and she's super stoked, which is always fun as far as, you know, those that do the orders, like Kyle, when, you know, you get the feedback from your people and
it's nice.
And then also then you're like done. So yay for being done. Cause you know, Theo delivered some news to me that I've got some big work ahead of me for the month. And then I wrestled the mystery tutorial. I told you guys last week that I accidentally stayed up half the night because I watched the tutorial and decided to try the thing. And so that's actually part of my show and tell. And so, I actually have been wrestling the tutorial thing for the whole week. Have you ever done that, Tyler? Like checked out a tutorial video and found yourself like going down the rabbit hole hard?
Yes, I definitely have. I mean, I haven't done too much rabbit holes with like lapidary stuff because I was kind of limited not having a saw, but I definitely like the DIY, like do it at home kind of different things. And I'm like, we need to have that. Like, we definitely need to have that. And then it's like, do we really need to have this? But yeah, I've gone on tangents like that before too. So I can definitely understand it. And I'm excited and worried for what I can do now that I have a saw.
I know, but like there's no stopping you.
Exactly.
So that's one thing that's kind of exciting because before I started my YouTube channel, I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of like lapidary, like how-to videos out there. There's a few here and there, but there wasn't really a whole lot. I think ever since the pandemic started and people were starting their own channels, we have all these different Rockhound and lapidary channels now. Like there is like a plethora of information out there. Just gotta type in the right keywords and you're gonna have like 100 videos now.
That is so cool too if you think about it. Like and there's I know a lot of our viewers are like, oh yeah, I kind of had given it up, but now like I'm totally back into it because, you know, there's this beautiful community and all these cool tutorials to watch.
Yeah.
Like if you forgot, then you can go check it out, or if you just learned it, you can make a video or whatever. And so there's going to be an upcoming video, hopefully tomorrow, and if not on Saturday, just depending on how editing and uploading, like Tyler just mentioned, like if everything goes well. Yeah. Fingers crossed.
But that is, I feel like that's every content creator's, you know, you've got to say, whether it's your wish or your prayer, everybody's got to say their little tidbit before you start that button, you know, before you click it.
For sure. And so hopefully I'll be dropping the video about the project, but you guys get during the show and tell you get the sneak preview. And so there's mine. How about you, Kurt?
Well, this past week I've gone on a few drives just to go check out the fall foliage and like down in like central Colorado. And Aspen, and one day was kind of like really annoying because we got out early. It was going to be beautiful, and we got into like pine forest, like south of Aspen. But then because it was Sunday, there was a lot of other people out looking at the fall colors, and it was just we were stuck in a like not moving like traffic jam on the side of a cliff for like an hour. Thanks. Then there was like a little gap where we got out and went on a hike through the river and everything. And then there was like, we got back in the car. Then it was like another hour wait to get to the next part. And then there was like sundown and we turned around and came back. But we got out again the other day and went out and saw the fall colors. And it was really beautiful. I took a lot of pictures and videos and stuff. And then the rain kind of moved in and it got kind of cold and rainy and just type of weather, you know. and I forgot I brought my black UV light. So then at 9 o'clock at night, I was in the riverbed with the UV light trying to see what glows, and keep having to look up with my regular flashlight to make sure there's no animals coming up on me in the dark. And because using your UV flashlight in the dark in the riverbed, you can't see anything except for what reacts to the light. So the dirt was glowing red, which looked like I was on another planet, because it was super cool. I tried getting pictures. I'll try and send some to y'all and let y'all see them. I was trying to make a video to rock hounding in the dark with the UV light in a riverbed, but
it's hard.
It was hard, yeah, because the camera wasn't focusing on.
It's hard to do.
Yeah, I would love to see the 10-minute video of just a black screen.
You see this little blue light moving around.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. I'll still try and do that, I guess. But as far as projects and so forth, I lately, as y'all saw, I've been doing wire wrapping and on some stones, which you'll see some 2 pieces that are recently wire wrapped. One was a video and one I finished last night. Which, have y'all ever taken a stone that you've wanted to make something with and have tried over and over and over, and just keeps not working out? It's so annoying. This cabochon, I tried wrapping it couple dozen times and it just never worked out. And then last night I was like, oh, this design is gonna work perfect, and it worked perfect. And so it finally found a home around it. And then for future projects, I was thinking of making a video of how y'all were saying, tutorials, where there's all these different videos showing how to do something, and polishing and so forth, and lapidary. There's a couple of videos where people are polishing by hand. So I was going to try and do a polishing by hand video with some sandpaper and some fluorite. Since fluorite is a softer mineral, so it's easier to polish. I've done that before. So I plan on doing that as a future video. And
I've actually received 2 requests lately, within the last month on my channel. Both of them to, I think, the Obsidian videos, where they were like, I have a bunch of material, but I'm wondering if I can do it without having the machines. And by all means, you can. A lot of opal polishers used to do it by hand back in the day with just sandpaper. Some of them still do. And Obsidian's so much like opal. And then doesn't fluorite have a heat thing where, it loves to fall apart with heat?
I'm not sure. I haven't tried adding heat to it.
Well, just what's generated by exactly. Yeah. And so it sounds like the perfect mineral to be doing that with.
Before I got the flat lap, I polished a couple pieces by a fluorite by hand, and then I realized as you get to the finer grits, you start realizing other minerals mixed in with the fluorite. So there was chalcopyrite mixed in. There was a little bit of malachite mixed in with the fluorite, which was even more beautiful. And bornite, which is like a peacock ore. So the fluorite that I find up there at Nancy Hanks Gulch has all those combined sometimes, and you just get a little stone just full of just 6 different minerals, which is really cool.
Yeehaw.
And but the ones with the bornites are hard to come across up there, at least in the areas where you're allowed to look, not on the claims, and so forth. And then I've also been tumbling rocks the past week, 6-7 weeks, and they finally just finished the other day. So I was going to show I was going to make a video showing before and after for you, because have y'all tumbled stones?
I did once, and that was it. It took it took 2.5 months.
Were you happy with the results?
I think for the final stage, I might have left it a day or two too long. Like I mentioned, the whole ADHD thing, it's kind of difficult to start a task and then put it out of sight, out of mind. there were times where I completely forgot. And I mean, it worked out. I was tumbling a barrel of Lake Superior agates and a tumble of Australian chalcedony. So it was rough stuff. And I think my first stage was like 4.5 weeks. And then the other ones after that. I mean, it was nice, but I think the other stuff I have to tumble, I think would just take too much like time to do it. And I unfortunately don't have the attention span for it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But
and they like
I enjoyed it though.
Okay, cool. Yeah, like I've been like I haven't done it a whole lot, but I've done it enough just trying to play around to see like what works and what doesn't work. I've been told to use soap between stages, like washing your stones with like a toothbrush and soap, or use like a soap like a
I know you're talking about. It's like a special burnish. You take like ivory soap.
Ivory varnish.
Yeah. Like I've been told to do that or use borax. And like the very first rocks that I tumbled, I was not happy with them at all because they were just like I soaked them in hot water for like an hour, and then I washed them with soap and water, and they were just really dull. They weren't shiny, and they were tumbling for like I think it was 8 weeks. And so gosh. like I've done a couple like I've done it a couple times, and like this time I decided to video it like when it comes out of the final batch, and after it's been soaked and washed with soap and water, what it looks like, and it's still really dull. So then I threw them back in the tumbler with borax, let them tumble for 48 hours, and pull them out, and they're nice and glossy. So I was just gonna kind of show like a before and after. Like now I'm using borax between each stage, and then when I tumble them for 2 days in borax just to help get all the extra. It seems to work better for me. And each person I know is different, but I just wanted to put a video out there showing like before and after on borax. So yeah, but as far as that goes, that was my before and current projects and so forth. So what about you, Kyle?
Well, this week was my birthday week, so I just kind of...
Oh yeah, happy birthday again.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm 33, but apparently I am.
It was my birthday week the week prior, so...
Oh, happy belated birthday.
Mine was the
17th.
Oh, my brother's is the 17th. That's cool.
Oh, awesome.
Hey, brother.
A lot of Libras in here.
Yep.
But yeah, birthday week is pretty relaxed for the most part. I wasn't really expecting to have a job by the time my birthday rolled around, so I was looking forward to kind of a relaxed, like, this is my day, like, pamper myself somehow. But, you know, I worked on my birthday. It wasn't that bad. And then I taught a lapidary class on Wednesday, and it went beautifully. The students did an awesome job. Again, I'm knock on wood, I've been getting awesome students that are just they're focusing, basically.
Or it might be the instructor.
I never want to toot my own horn. Like, that's...
Theo will do it. Sorry.
I've had people like, oh, you're the master of, obsidian or this and that. I'm like, I'm not the master of anything. Like, my opinion is like, no one is really the true master of anything, because like things are subject to change at any given time. And so, but it is nice to be able to, pass on that knowledge to other people, because sometimes I ask like, oh, do you plan on getting your own equipment and, this and that? And some people are like, they like the hobby. They like the class so much that it inspires them to like, oh, maybe I should get my own equipment. Like, this is actually pretty fun. And so I did that. I had another box of rocks come in, I think earlier this week, from a subscriber. It's in the process of moving, and she figured, oh, I was moving anyways, and it might be a bit better to ship it off to you and to work on the rocks rather than just put it in storage. I'm like, that seems fair. But yeah, just kind of moseying around the shop and doing projects when I'm able to at this point. And I have still a couple outstanding orders, but oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, Jason, Rockhounding Life. They did a video today, so today's Thursday. You guys are listening on Friday. They did a video today of unboxing a box of rocks I sent to them. And for me, For me, it's almost like unboxing it again because sometimes I'll box something up, and I think I had his box up for a couple weeks, just because of funds. It's like it was cool watching them unbox it again because I forgot most of the stuff I put in there. So it's like I'm like, oh man, that's cool. So
And the boys were adorable,
Yeah.
like that was just fun. Yeah.
so I'm looking forward to see them cut some of that stuff open and see what was on the inside. And yeah, so that was my week.
Nice. I saw the notification for that video come up like just before I jumped on here, and I still need to watch it. So
Yeah,
I'll probably do that
I haven't
afterwards.
caught it yet, so I'll
As,
be right there with you.
yeah, I saw it at lunchtime today. I'm like, oh sweet. So I was watching that as I was eating my lunch. Yeah, now that we're done with how everyone week was and projects, let's delve into the nitty gritty and asking some questions. So, Karen, I'll let you go first.
Okay. I have two questions, but we can circle back for my second. But I always like to ask the nitty gritty question from the get go is typically like, how in the world did you get into what you are doing? So how did you get into the Kraken game? And then more seriously, what's the backstory on your rock hounding and collecting and all?
I'll start with the background on the rock hounding, if that's cool. I've been collecting rocks for quite some time. I grew up in the west side of Chicago, so I didn't grow up in a rock hounding kind of place. The things I saw were that chalky courts that are just in landscape that me and the kids in the neighborhood would pick up and use as chalk. Those are the rocks I grew up with. But my grandma, she was from Hazard County, Kentucky, and she was a rock hound, and she enjoyed collecting rocks. I remember her having some things in her collection and her always encouraging me to pick stuff up and, just look at it and see what's there and, kind of appreciate what's under our feet. So started doing that and then got out of the city and I think, what was it? My dad moved to like a northern suburb of the city where there was like a river nearby. And I think that's kind of when I went crazy with it. It was the Fox River. It was the Carpentersville Dam. And I found a geode there, and there shouldn't be geodes there. So I don't know if some kid dropped it or what. It was like a little geode, and that was it. I was like maybe 8 or 9 years old. And then kind of flash forward to what is it? I've been married a little over 2 years now. The wife and I got married, and we went on our honeymoon down in Pigeon Forge, and we were just kind of looking for things to do. And at that point, I wasn't actively rock collecting as much, like just picking up random stuff, and I wasn't going out of my way like I am now. And we were down there, and I was looking up things to do, and we went to a couple of those like gem mines where you buy a bucket and sift through it. And I kind of like started to re-spark my interest in it, and I'm like, oh, this is cool, but I'm like not really collecting. So I kind of did some research to see like what the heck is around me, and I looked up rock collecting in Illinois and didn't find much. And then like I mentioned, I'm in Lansing, so I'm right on the border of Indiana. And let me tell you, I looked up rock collecting in Indiana, and I found out how many geodes were over there, and it just it was done after that. It took quite a few months to find where the geodes were. So if anybody's watching right now and you guys are having a hard time finding them and you're talking to people about spots and they're not sharing, it's because it takes time to find places. Like they're all over the place, but not everywhere you can collect and things like that. So once I found those, the wife was a little upset with me because I was like, okay, I'm going to try and go on the weekends when I can. And then I think I had like 3 months where I was out there every other weekend just collecting and going to different places. And I was like, all right, I have a lot. And I joined the group Amateur Geology and Rock Collecting, which I'm sure a lot of our viewers here are aware of that group. It's an awesome group. If you guys don't know it, check it out. And I was a member, and I've been active in that group for quite some time. And I would just share pictures of the geodes that I have. And then one night, mid-COVID pandemic, everybody's home and bored, and life was weird, and it was literally like 12:30 a.m. and I made a post in this group, and I was like, hey, would anybody want to watch me like open these geodes? because I've had so many people like, oh, how are you opening them? Because before I was using hammer and chisel and just destroying geodes left and right. And then my older brother bought me a soil pipe cutter, and that's my bread and butter. I call her Betsy.
That tool. It's so cool.
It's so awesome. I love it. Everything on it's original. It's from like the 90s. The thing I've made it my personal goal to beat on it as much as I can until it like finally breaks, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So yeah, I made that post one night. Like I said, it was after midnight, and I think I got like 30 or 40 responses within like 20 minutes, and everybody's like, yeah, you should do it. Yeah, you should do it. Yeah, you should do it. So I'm like, shoot. All right, give me 10 minutes, guys. And if you go on my channel, it's so terrible. If you watch my very first live geode cracking episode 1, it is so awful. I'm not even like landscape, it's vertical. Like I have my phone set up on the hood of my wife's car, and it wouldn't stand up straight, so I have like books and clothes underneath it just to try and get it facing the right way. And it was so terrible, but it was so much fun. And I think I streamed like 3 or 4 times within 2 weeks, and those streams ended up with collectively like almost 20,000 views.
Oh,
and it was just kind of crazy. And I'm friends with Taylor, you guys know as Agatad, and he kind of always encouraged me. He's like, dude, just start up YouTube, like just put them on YouTube. You know, I'm always like, that's not really what I want to do. I like Facebook. I've got this direct group. At the time, I think we had like 50,000 members in the group. We're up to almost 90,000 now. And I was like, I've got this direct audience, and like I've made friends, so I kept with it for a while. And then I had some issues within the group where I was kicked out of the group over misunderstandings over some of my content. They thought I was trying to sell stuff, which I wasn't. And I was under the impression that I lost all of my content, and I wasn't able to find my videos. So I was devastated. I was angry. And one of my viewers, Grace, she's like, I've helped people set up like YouTube channels before and things like that. She's like, why don't you set up an email? Give me the email. Like, let me just do the basics for you, and like, we'll see what happens. So I'm like, walk me through it. Let me know. Like, sure, why not? So I think she made the account for me like in January, and then I didn't do anything with it for a while. And then all that happened, and I couldn't get my content back. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I switched to YouTube. I think I jumped up to like almost 100 subscribers within a few days, and I stuck with Facebook for the most part and kind of live stream there. And then I would re-upload to YouTube. And then my first video on YouTube actually, is my collecting video. A lot of people really enjoy like watching me break the geodes. It was the middle of winter, and everybody's like, we want to see where you collect. And I couldn't wait. There's so many people I wanted to see. I couldn't wait till springtime. So it was like 14 degrees. And I went out with my buddy Jim, and like the creek is frozen. If you guys have seen the video, if you guys watched the video, there's one point where I set my camera down on the tripod, and I'm like hammering through the ice to get to the geo that's underneath it. And I'm like, I've never done this before, but I'm going to do it because, it ended up being a great video. That's my most popular video on my channel, like with 1.4 thousand views. And here I am still doing my weekly, live streams of geode cracking. And then I got to a point where I got a polisher. Now I've got a saw, and I'm just kind of rolling with it and seeing where we go. I mean, I'm at as of right now, I think 611 subscribers on the channel.
Nice.
Which is crazy.
Congratulations.
Thank you. About 2.5 weeks ago, I hit 500, and I started talking about like, all right, guys, I got to do my 500 subscriber giveaway video. And then things just kind of kept going.
Yeah.
And, Taylor made a video, Agatad made a video last week with a UV light. You guys, if you saw that video, he mentioned my name. I sent him that UV light. I sent him some different things from my collection for him to check out. And that video just kind of helped me a lot too. It catapulted me up a little bit. And I'm now at a point where, you guys will understand the grind. My watch hours were drastically lacking. I was like at 1/4 of where I should have been, and I'm catching up now on watch hours. So it's just so many awesome things happening. Leading into earlier this week, Tuesday, I went over and I picked up a saw, but I did that because now I'm officially sponsored by High Tech Diamond. So that was really exciting. So I'm just going to kind of see where the channel goes from here. And I'm having fun. I've been doing trades with a lot of different people. Like I mentioned, I'm going to have a video coming out with a trade from Travis over in Montana. He's 406 Findings. So lots of different stuff.
Be persistent.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm doing my best. It's a lot. Like I said, we've got a baby on the way too. So my concern was not being able to put out the content every week because I felt like I was getting a little repetitive with my show. I mean, I'm always going to do my show, like the geode cracking, but I got to a point where I didn't have much content of going out and collecting. So it was to the point where it's going to be a couple of weeks before I'm able to go out and film anymore. So the saw coming now was perfect.
Awesome.
But I think I've had my point where I was getting a little bit discouraged, and like I took a mental break for about a month because I had things going on outside of YouTube world, and then coming back into it. And then just like the past like 3 weeks that I've had have been like enough encouragement for me, like regardless what happens, even if I put a video out and nobody watches it, like I'm still going to keep doing it. And, there's a lot of, I think, people that started up YouTube channels like during the pandemic and things like that, not knocking anybody. Like there's a lot of people that started up without the intentions of like seeing it through. They were like, oh, this would be cool, like let's just see what happens. And then we've seen a couple of people like trickle off, and we don't see much content from people. And I'm thankful enough to be in a position where I can be home and do what I can with it. So I'm excited. I feel like I do things a little bit different than the norm. I don't know of any rock hounds in the Chicago area. One thing I want to do is I want to try and go and do some like rock hounding in Chicago. I'm going to go hit the beaches like around Navy Pier, because I'm not going to find a whole lot, but I know there's got to be people like rock hounds who come and visit for tourist stuff, and they're like, oh, there's nothing to do here, but everybody's going to look up like Chicago rock hounding. Like I just, different things. I want to do things different, and there's not a lot of the live stream aspect, I think, as interactive as I go with like cracking geodes and stuff. Not trying to like brag or toot my own horn. I don't want to sound boastful, but that's what excites me the most is, it makes it exciting for me because I don't feel like I'm doing the same thing as everybody else, which isn't, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, but for me, it's exciting to be different.
Nice.
I always encourage people to start their own YouTube channel because you never know where it's going to take you. And I've said this many times in the past. You can have, say 100 different YouTube channels, people doing the same like rock category. Just for example, everyone's going to tell their own different story. They're going to have their different way of filming content. It's like a mini story book. Each chapter is going to have something different for a different person. If you don't like that chapter, go to the next one. So think of it that way.
Oh yeah, it's exciting, and I feel like a lot of us, we think about the pandemic and we think about like the negativity and things like that. But I had a thought actually earlier while we were all chatting, that I feel like, not that I'm thankful for the pandemic, but I think if we didn't have that time where everybody was at home, bored and like rekindling old passions and hobbies, like rock collecting and rock hounding as a whole recently has been like a dying trade. That's been a common idea or thought going around for years. I've always heard that, but I think that time everybody had at home where everybody started channels and things like that, I think it pumped a lot of life into our hobby and into our
It was a silver lining.
So exactly, that's the term I was looking for. I couldn't find it, but yes, the silver lining in it for sure. Is there's a lot of new channels and a lot of people I feel like in my age bracket, like their late 20s, early 30s, who have got younger kids who are like, I used to like collecting rocks when I was a kid. I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to get my kids into it too. Like that's the most exciting thing. Like I love that my daughter is getting into it too. Like in the beginning, she would love it and hate it. Like, oh, I don't want to go and collect rocks. And then I'd be, packing up to leave that morning. She's like, Dad, wait, no. I want to come with.
Cool.
Like, I love it.
Nice.
Well, Kurt, do you have a question?
Yeah. Also, just real quick, like how you were saying a minute ago, like you were wanting to get content out there, finding spots in Chicago. I think that's a spectacular idea. That's like when I came to Colorado, or when I moved from Vermont to Colorado, I came through Chicago and I was looking up where to like Rockhound in Chicago. Couldn't find anything.
Ironically.
And I ended up just finding like a public access that was like to Lake Michigan, and just went there and just picked up some random stones. And I've looked at them, but they're just random rocks. So I wanted to pick up something from Michigan, so that's what I did. but also putting content out there, it just helps. It'll help the general public, especially in your area, and visitors and so forth. So it's a great idea, and so forth.
There's some rumors and like things floating around too. Like I've had people talk to me like, "Oh, have you found any agate over there? Like, have you found any euphorites? Oh, I hear you could find this." I'm like, "What?" I've been to every single beach in Chicago multiple times for many years, all the way from basically Wisconsin border to the Indiana border. I've collected rocks all there all my life, and there's some things that people say they find, and I'm like, I'm going to go out and see, like, is this really here? Because maybe something geologically changed in the past decade, but, it's like, I got to see who's blowing smoke, and, it's much easier for me to, like I said, I'm on the south side of Chicago. For me to go and collect geodes and things like that, everybody, they'll watch my show and they think I'm in, like, Indiana and things like that. I'm like, no,
that's right. That's right.
I'm like 3.5 hours drive there to go and collect geodes, and then collect, and then 3.5 hours back. So I'm a full-time dad. So when I go and I do like collecting, I don't sleep that night. If I sleep, I'm sleeping like maybe a half hour. I'll leave my house around 3 in the morning, and I'll do majority of the driving while the sun's down. I try and get there around when the sun comes up, and I'll do some collecting, and then I'll leave around lunchtime to make it home, pick up dinner. It's the routine, get home, feed the kids, give the kids baths, and then I'll go out and I'll play with my new rocks and stuff. But it's hard. There's not a lot of places, in this vicinity. So that's one thing I want to do. There is, Mason Creek is a famous fossil place. I live a little less than an hour away from Mason Creek, but it's just, I feel like that is a different kind of rock collecting. There's no immediate gratification from going and collecting there. There's a process you have to go through with opening those concretions. That's always what's deterred me. It's like, I have to freeze this for how long and thaw it and then freeze it and thaw it. Like, but back then when I was younger, I didn't have, as much of an understanding. So I think now if I were to go, I'd have a better, understanding and appreciation. But that's just what I want to do. Like, and that's one thing that High Tech enjoyed about my content too, was I told them, I'm like, there's nobody else in Chicago that I've come across that, that puts out content. And I'm like, I'm not trying to boast. I wholeheartedly look for like content creators, like YouTubers and things like that. I've come across like TikTok channels and things like that of people that do things related to lapidary in my area. Like I found one dude, and like I'm friends with him on TikTok, and like he wants to chat and go and get a beer. Like I just want to find people that are in the community, but like Chicago is so uninviting. Like I'm not saying like I love Chicago. I'm not telling you to come and plan a trip to Chicago for the sole purpose of rock hunting. Don't do it. Like if you're going to be here for other things, like maybe try and find a place, but there's not a lot out here compared to other places. And one bummer too is there's no like rocks and mineral clubs around. Like the closest ones are like 4 hours away in Indiana. Like there's nothing around me. So that's one thing I think I would enjoy to do one day. Like if my channel gets big enough, like Kyle's got a crazy awesome setup. I would love to, be able to do something, put something together like that, and just start to teach people,
This took a long time to put together. Just to put that out there right now.
No, I believe it, but I mean, I've got a couple years. You've got a couple years on me, not in a bad way. So I feel like I can start doing something towards it now. I would love to be at a point, 6 years from now, or 7 years, because that's my 7 years from now, to be where you're at, having a killer setup like that and just teach people, because that's what I want to do. That's why I've been inspired to learn, because man, the Indiana rock collecting community, at first, it is not very welcoming. Like, there's not a lot of people that want to like share places for the sake of like learning and things like that. So it was frustrating. And that's kind of what was my motivation at first, was to start learning stuff. And then I started learning more than the people who had made a name for themselves, knowing a bunch. So there's a couple rock groups in Facebook I'm not too welcome in, because I learned more than them and they didn't like that. But
Yeah,
but it's fun. It's exciting, because like Karen mentioned before, like my wormholes, I won't do projects as much, but like I love finding, like I find geodized fossils, and it just fascinates me and frustrates me, because I can find something that I know is an ammonite, but I don't know what kind. I don't know what time period. I don't know like where it came from. So like the research and the tangents I go on, or if you guys have ever looked at a map, a geological map of like the Hoosier National Forest or like the Bloomington, Indiana area, it is absurd the amount of like crossovers, and it's just it's crazy and hard to pinpoint, and that's one of my favorite things to try and do.
Well, you should check out the app called Rock. Have you heard of that
app called Rock? Like it's just...
ROCKD. D as in dog.
ROCKD. No, I have not.
Check it out. You can. It's one that I like when I was living in Kentucky. It was one of the apps that I used a lot to help pinpoint locations and time periods and what minerals were located in that area. Pretty much when you pull up, you'll be in the dashboard, and then it'll show you like your coordinates and the time period you're in right now. But you can go on over to the map, zoom in, and then select on the exact spot you found a rock, and it'll tell you the exact geology for that location and the time period and how old and everything that is based. It's based off of mindat.org, right? Is that the website? Yeah, it's based off of that information, but it's all in one app, super easy to take with you. You can check into locations, keep it public or private for yourself. You can put in like you can rate the area, type in notes, photos. It's a really awesome app, and it's free.
Cool.
So
I'll check it out. Be sure to drop the description.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're endorsed by them, but that was.
I know.
No,
you should be.
I'm not.
I like it.
It's one of my favorite apps.
I like the sound of that. But something I've never captured it on video, but I have to do it. But some of the creeks that I go to in Indiana, it's crazy because there's so much erosion that's happened that I can see the different layers of sediment and stuff like that. So that's when it gets difficult, because there are certain fossils that'll come from this layer and certain from this and so on. And majority of everything is just falling out. So I'll definitely use that app and see if it can do me some good. I'm sure it's going to do more good than harm.
The other possibility is pardon me, but checking with your institution that's nearby, whatever your educational institution is. We have stewardship over here where there are scholars from the OSU that have figured out those layers. And so, you can go to a book or you can go to a map, and it might be specific only to your area. It might be only specific to that river. It might be only specific to that mile of the river. I've had fossils where an educated person at the site of the education can tell me like, this was found like between this street and this street, and they're right. Yeah. Okay. And so
cool.
That's
I've always thought there was like so much more to do with like, I grew up as a low income kid. So I always thought that kind of stuff costs money, to do, but see, I'm learning more now. It's like, all I got to do is like send something away or like just talk to somebody. And
walk in the door, like, just like how you walked in the door at High Tech. Walk in the door at your institution and go like, hey, I have this thing and I found it. Like, here's the picture of where I found it. And they'll be all like, oh, that's this era mudstone. And that's, the carbon era. And this is whatever. And more than likely, they're going to be able to clarify stuff like that for you. And it's so neat because then it starts to create that big story around what you found that's so enriching, you know, as far as like, wow, you know, this is not just a beautiful fossil that I cracked open and there's a surprising thing inside or what have you. But then you can start getting like it tells you the story. That's I'm like super pumped on the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely something I'd like to learn for sure. I'll definitely have to look into that. I know Indiana, I don't know if it's ISU or whatever, because that's the big, you know, school in the state down there. I know they have a crazy geology department, so it's just going to be a matter of reaching out to them. I always thought too, like, given what's around there, I feel like they get so many messages a day, so I just have to, like you said, deal with high tech and just be persistent.
Yeah. And I think you'd be surprised because, you know, particularly with people that specialize in some of those areas, they're lonely. They're like, oh, you want to know about this? Sit down. Would you like a cup of coffee? You know, like they're like stoked. Yeah. So you never know what you're going to uncover, you know, both in the river and in the different institutions. So, you know, it's worth a try. Yeah. You know, might be good, might be bad.
I've definitely got some crazy things. I don't have it here, but I'll have to make a short video of it and post it on my channel. But I have one thing that looks like an ammonite shell, but it looks like it still has like tentacles coming out of it. Like there's 2 nodes on it that have got like dimples on it. And it's like, there's so much stuff. And I've reached out to like an amateur geology, a couple of the admins, and there's some geologists within the group. And even them, they're like, I have no idea what the heck that is. Like, it's something, because like, especially with geodes and how they form and their nature, like it's hard and unlikely for there to be symmetry in those kinds of things, in the sense of, this is the shape of it, and it's got 2 almost identical deformities that also have uniform deformities on that too. And it's like, what in the heck could this possibly be? And it's I have binders of printouts of different pictures of fossils in different eras, and I've gone down so many wormholes. I should have brought that in. I have so many diagrams and maps and things and notes I've taken.
That's cool.
I haven't picked that stuff up in months. I should probably, that was like before YouTube started going crazy. So I might have a little bit more of an understanding now looking at some of that stuff. So I should pick it up again.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're into doing the research yourself, I found out that my research center here, because I'm a resident, I can go ahead and get the card so that I have access to the same research library that all of the people researching this stuff has out here. And so, that's cool. Yeah, just because I'm a resident. So I don't have to be an OSU person, but I can walk into that library now and I can do all the research I want.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I don't think Chicago's got something like that in the area, but I'll look up.
Never know.
I'll see what I can find.
I mean, we're Podunk. We're little, you know, Central Oregon coast. And so you never know.
Yep.
Worth trying.
I was going to ask, I had 2 questions as well, but I think you already answered one of them just like within the last couple minutes. My question was, what is your most interesting geode that you like when you've been opening geodes? What is your most like the one you're most surprised by, or?
Great question.
Man, yeah, that is a great question. I've got.
That was one of mine.
I would have to say, oh man, I might have to pick 2, because I've got two from Kentucky that really surprised me. One I didn't personally collect. One was collected by Kentucky Rockhound by Mike. He sent them to me last winter as part of a care supply for geodes, so I can continue doing my show through the winter. I was getting low, so he went out and filled a couple of buckets for me and sent them over. But it's got blue chalcedony in it, that the growth habit of it is like, I can't remember the terminology because I reached out to a geology friend of mine, but he said it's so close to being grape agate with the way that it grew and its formation, opposed to just your typical botryoidal chalcedony. And it was just crazy because it was almost velvety looking and it was baby blue. and it just immediately was my favorite. It still is one of my favorite geodes that I've cracked, and it's really, really small. But that one just blew me away. I feel like I would appreciate it a little bit more if it was my hands that picked it up out of the creek, but it came from a good friend. So that one was pretty crazy. And then another one it wasn't super aesthetically pleasing cracking it open, but it takes a little bit more paying attention to it, but it's just solid quartz, but it was found in the Green River in Kentucky. And there was a certain portion of this river that Kentucky Rockhound, through his own collecting and research, has found that amethyst will form, but it's not full on like deep purple amethyst. It's like very faint amethyst. And I cracked one on my stream one night, and it was about this big. I don't think I brought it. I did cut it yesterday on my stream, but it was full of like very pale lavender amethyst. So I've never found anything like that. So it was, that one just blew me away, because like we were in his Jeep driving in this river. Okay. Literally got in the river and we're driving in it, going down, and he's like, oh yeah, he pointed out the spot, and he's like, from here till about here. And we drove past that spot, and we never stopped there. We never got out or did anything. And, you know, the ones that he had found had been smaller, like golf ball, maybe to baseball size, and this one was like a grapefruit size. So I cracked that one and like freaked out, and I FaceTimed him afterwards. I woke him up and he was a little cranky, but but yeah, it was awesome. I think I woke him. I don't know. It was a while ago, but it was really awesome. And then like I said, I cut it yesterday, and it just kind of threw me for a loop, because it's just not the things I would expect to find out there. So
I give him credit for having his phone on. I keep mine on silent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he and I, we've grown accustomed to the late night video chats. Like I used to like text before, and I'd be like, hey, are you busy? What are you doing? But now it's like, all right, I'm just going to FaceTime him, and it's him. He's in the shop. He's polishing something. He's capping something. He's working on something. And I'm in my garage doing the same thing. And, you know, every time he calls me, like, I think there's been 1 out of like 10 phone calls where I haven't been out in the shop working on something. So
Nice.
The joys of being a night owl that enjoys lapidary.
I'll get it. I guess my question would be, I've asked this for several people in the past. If you... Let me think about this for a second. It's been a while since I've asked this. What famous person do you think watches your content anonymous secretly? I can't talk currently. So yeah, what famous persons do you think secretly watches your content under like a hidden account where like no one knows it's actually them? Like, who do you think would be an avid rock collector like watching your content?
Oh man, I've heard you ask this question, and I've enjoyed the responses, but I've never thought about what my answer would be.
I think someone said Nicolas Cage once, and that one seems about right.
He has to have been doing something. I mean,
right? Nicolas Cage.
Was that Agadad, or
it might have been? Yeah,
I think it might have been like that, or Rock Hounding Life, one or the other.
Maybe both.
I think I'm gonna go with what everybody's thinking. I'm gonna go with Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. I think that
what everybody's thinking.
I mean, come on, think about it. What celebrity is gonna watch a rock collector than The Rock? I feel like he's gotten enough of those like stupid questions. Hey, Rock, do you collect rocks? That he's secretly like grown a passion for it. And he probably has like some throwaway account that's like Kevin Hart base. Come on, like their relationship. I think it's The Rock posing as Kevin Hart. You know, enjoys watching my content.
That's actually a pretty good answer.
I like that answer very much. That
That's
goes
why
on the highlight
time,
reel for that question, I think, like for sure.
Wouldn't that be something though? He's like, oh yeah, you guys got me. Right-handed.
Right.
It's really the Sandman.
We know you're
who's
there.
actually,
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Oh, wouldn't that be something? Sandman just is saying that he's
Sandmaker.
someone he's
Yeah.
not, and turns out to be Dwayne the Rock
He's the Rock.
Johnson.
Yeah. That's why I'm traveling all the time doing movies. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's the perfect cover too. He's always traveling. He's got to have a cool rock collection.
Yeah.
If I ever meet him, I'm gonna ask him that. And if he doesn't, I'm gonna make sure I always have a rock in my pocket to give to him if I ever meet him.
Here's your starter pack.
Right. You can call it the boulder if you want. And if it's too weird to call it, the rock.
The pebble.
The
The
pebble.
boulder feels conflicted about finding a little girl.
Oh man, it's a nice little throwaway towards Avatar.
I love that show.
Yeah, me too. At least that particular series, like the second series was.
Yeah, Legend of Korra.
Yeah.
We're talking about our second season.
Yeah, no, the Legend of Korra, like
Yeah, it was a little weird.
Yeah, I liked the first. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Given the era, it was Nickelodeon. They were trying to get what they could from it, and they did like everything else, and they overdid it. But
yeah,
we forget.
Sometimes you just leave things the way they are. If you have to make an adaptation to it, at least stick to what they initially did, not just go off and do your own little thing and make it worse.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is our questions, and if we want to get into show and tell, so Tyler, what do you have for show and tell?
All right. I have for show and tell one of, if not my favorite, kind of crazy freeforms that I've done. This past summer, I took a trip down and got to stay with Kentucky Rockhound, and took my older brother with me, and he took us around to some different places, and I came across this geodized fossil. I believe it was a geodized horn coral, and I had the liberty of having it cut by Kentucky Rockhound himself while I was down there, and I polished it up. Well, turn that around so we don't have a blue glow on it. It doesn't have your typical Kentucky agate in it, but that black and gray you see there is agate, and it's got a big calcite center. But then one of the halves I noticed on the rind, this side you could see, it had a little bit of red in it. So I decided to kind of just go crazy with my flat lap and get all the rind off of it, and was pleasantly surprised to come across some really beautiful red and white banding, and even a little bit of blue hiding in there too. So it was really, really cool. So
nice.
That's
beautiful.
my show and tell.
So
I
what
got
did,
I was gonna say
ahead.
I have the video, the throw up, so you guys can see the video of it.
don't throw up.
No.
So what gave you the idea as far as it being both, a beautiful mineralized stone, but like also potentially this fossil coral? Like, what was your tip?
Well, this you can't really see as much, but with geodes, given how they form and what they are, most of them are gas bubbles and gas pockets left over, and this one just had too much of a symmetrical shape. And I've collected geodes quite a bit, and I have found examples that still retain some of the actual structure of the fossil, like the striations and things like that. So just a little bit of intuition, and you can see even here, there's still some of those lines there that you would find on a horn coral. Those aren't particularly what's left of it, but just given some of the regular fossils that are found in that area, there's no set reason or explanation on how fossils geodize and things like that. It's a hot topic for debate. But given what else was out there and the geodes that were out there, this one stuck out like a sore thumb for sure. So
nice.
It was really cool.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. That's gorgeous.
Yeah. Karen,
My
what
pleasure.
do you? Yeah. Karen, what do you
I'm
got?
excited for what she's got. Let's see.
Oh my gosh, the pressure. Okay, so there's a wonderful collection site out at the border of our state, Graveyard Point, and actually part of it's in Idaho and part of it's in Oregon. And so here's a specimen from there. And so what I did is I love to knock rocks with a sledgehammer. And so I was working on parsing down a certain piece of some graveyard point, and I got like this crazy sometimes for gem people, when you're looking for a plume agate, you don't want any druzy inside. Now I don't understand this concept. Anybody else here a druzy fan?
I like druzy.
I like druzy.
I like sparkly things. Like, what's there not to love about that? But in some areas, that does degrade a piece of plume agate, you know, because you've got like holes of something. And so, you know, I think, Kyle, you were just talking about having cut some agate recently, and there was a druzy pocket, and wah, 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 because it wouldn't make a knife handle.
It wasn't
right?
solid enough, so I had to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah. And so I think that this is what they were talking about. So I knocked this piece open, and there was this incredible druzy pocket, you know, and, you know, my eyes are glimmering with the crystals. And so I decided to isolate that and carve it. And so picture number 2 is the carving all by itself. And it is like one wacky freeform carving. And you'll have to watch this one on the replay tomorrow, Tyler, so you see that picture in real time. But I can help you out with step number 3. So after the tutorial that I watched, and after doing this freeform carving with the agate, I decided, okay, these two things definitely go together. And so with a piece of pink chalcedony and a piece of a cultured pearl and a thunder egg agate, I did, I got the cord. Hold on just a second. Dun, 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 dun. Okay.
She's been wearing it the whole time.
I was. it was hidden in plain sight. And so that is actually the piece. And so this is all druzy through there. That's
Nice.
You know, of course, it's not like picking up any of the light. And then I polished this down here. It's kind of like the Regency red, but it's not off of that claim. So it's not, that's your pink chalcedony right up there in the corner, thunder egg in the middle, and then cultured pearl at the bottom. And it's backless so that you can see through, of course, because I love doing that.
That's gorgeous.
And then here's the rabbit hole. Has anybody done the Viking stitch for making a chain before?
I've done chainmail before.
The Viking weave. I had always wanted to try the Viking weave, and so I made my first necklace. And so this is like the Victory Viking necklace.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
That's very beautiful.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I never even thought of making anything like that. You need to send some links to these tutorials.
Well, you know, actually this one should, like I said, in theory, it'll be dropping either Friday or Saturday, and it'll be a quicker romp through, like, this is how I made it. And actually Kyle just released a video on slowing down and going through actually like how I made my pendant. Didn't you just recently release that?
I did.
Kyle?
I did part 1, which is how I'm maneuvering the stone over the wheel. So you're not seeing like
right. Fast forward.
I personally like using fast forward because it helps speed up the video, because there is a time. There are people out there, which I'm super grateful for, that they want to watch the extended part of things, but a vast majority of people, a lot of times, if something's too long, they're going to go straight to the end. And the point of, if you want to have a channel that's going to, generate some income through ads, you need to be sure that people like watch the whole video, watch some of the ads, because, your help contributing to their work, and to make sure, they can keep putting stuff out, even if it doesn't matter if it's hobby or if they're trying to actually make some money off the channel. But the point is to make sure that you have people watching the whole video, at least most of the video, at least. Yeah. And I know that if I have longer videos, the retention is not going to be as high as it should be, and that's why I typically use sped up videos, or I'll show maybe 6 to 10 seconds of using that stage before the next clip, just kind of help save on time. and to try to keep that retention at a certain percentage. But part two of that video is probably going to be sped up, to be honest, because it's either I speed it up or I only show like 10 seconds of each step that I'm doing. Just because the footage is so long already. Like I had to stop recording, dump a bunch of footage from my phone to make room on my SD card because I was running out of space. Yeah. And because a lot of this is, a lot of it I'm not even recording. A lot of the sanding process, because it just takes so long to do. Because when you're polishing silver or sterling silver, it's a lot of filing. Or it depends if you're fancy like Karen, have like the nice Dremel bits. I'm doing everything by hand. Well, sorry, mostly by hand. I did cheat a little bit with my rock sander. I did do some of the heavy grinding, but all the starting to smooth everything out, I'm literally using half of a wooden clothespin and pieces of sandpaper that's been cut to that same width, and I'm just sitting there smoothing everything out by hand, and it's a lengthy process.
That would be a tough one to sit all the way through the 12 hours on.
Yeah.
But also, so in my world, I do use lots of different bits with my Fordham or my Dremel and that sort of thing. And so it's handy for somebody who knows that and has those tools. And I show that on the video, and I'm going to actually do a future video on the Viking stitch as well, because it's just infectiously fun to do. And then Kurt, you just released like 3 videos on and these are true tutorials as well, like start to finish, but not fast forwarded through, and those were incredibly pleasurable.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Isn't this Viking stitch?
Looks like it.
Oh, I've done that. No, I haven't. Never mind. That's like
that looks pretty Viking-ish to me. Yeah. Probably. Yeah. It's kind of hard, but yeah, I'd say maybe. But go ahead, Kurt. Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, like you said, my mind went blank. Just did the three videos over the last, I guess, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so like my show and tell is the piece that I just recently put a video on. It's like part pretty. 2. It's some Oregon moss agate, and it was just a really simple wrap.
No, and I hate the word simple wrap. Stop it.
It's like,
it's so hard.
Like, I've watched so many wrapping tutorials, and I like watching them, and then like how you say, next thing you know, you're like, it's midnight and you're like trying it out, and then you get stuck. So I like kind of watching some, and then like kind of taking it and kind of turning it into something a little bit more simpler. That's how my brain works and processes. And so most of the stones that I wrap are this style. And
because it looks very complex to me, like it still is amazing.
Yeah. Beautiful. And so like I just wanted to share how I do it because of how simple it is. But and like the other day, Roof
Fortress?
What? Yes.
Yeah.
He tagged me on TikTok. He did a stone with the same style, thanking me for sharing it, and it turned out really good. So he did a fantastic job.
That was his first one too. That was his first wire wrap too. Yeah, that was his first one he's done before too.
That's awesome.
And that's in a way that circles back to, you can have 100 different YouTube channels teaching different things or the same thing, and you get different outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like what you did there, Kurt. I know I'm going to be trying a wrap as soon as I can muster my courage.
Mm-hmm. See, I have too many rabbit holes I've gone down with the collection. I know if I get like the wrapping kit, the startup kit, I can't yet. I need to get and enjoy the saw before I have something else to do, or I'm never gonna sleep.
the cool the asymmetrical wild freeform cabs, like they sort of beg for either, like I like to the setting that I did for this was all claw set. And I love doing like a part bezel, part claw. And what's probably going to end up happening due to Kurt and his, crazy tutorial spree is that I'll end up doing like some kind of like a prong claw bezel wrap, like Frankenstein. But yeah, it's so tempting. So I would love to see what you do, Tyler. That would be neat if you would go down that rabbit hole, please.
All right, what companies are out there that make the wire wrapping stuff? I need a sponsorship.
He's all about sponsorship.
I'm on a roll.
Rebrand.
He's gonna have like the jacket, like a race car jacket with like all of the different patches on it. Like the next time we have him on the podcast, he's
right. My slab saw is gonna have a bunch of different stickers. My polisher is gonna be.
I see that happening.
Yeah. And there's one other one that I did. This is the one I was talking about where I've taken this cab and I've tried wrapping it a couple dozen times and I just haven't been able to. But it's I'm not sure if y'all can
see this. Ooh, Labrador.
It's a little Labrador
nice.
Cab.
Oh yeah.
But I'll send pictures of both of them. But it's the same style wrapping, but with tinier wire. Like I normally use 20 or I use 18 gauge with 26 or 28 gauge wire, and this is 22 gauge wire with 30 gauge wire. So it's a lot smaller and it just worked perfect. So like that's the face of it, the nice flash, and then the back of it is a little more complicated on the back, but it's,
oh wow,
that's okay.
So
no, it scares me.
If there's anybody else watching right now that did not understand anything for those measurements, do not feel bad because I did not know what any of that meant, but I know it's beautiful. It is like it's so tempting to get into and intimidating when like I hear some of the lingo and it's like,
like if you
so
watch
beautiful, though.
If you watch the Laguna Lace video, I don't know what to call. I don't know the proper terms for the wire wrapping community of everything. So I just throw a random word out and like I hope that works.
Oh yeah, so. No, your video is definitely a little bit more easier for me to relate to. That's why I had to control myself, because when I watched yours, especially the first two, I'm like, this isn't that hard.
I could do
this
that.
Is like, these are words I understand. Like this is making sense. That's what I like. So that's when I knew I was getting the saw soon. So I'm like, I can't. I gotta focus on one thing. I gotta grind. Like once I think it's gonna be a lot different once I get to a point where I'm partnered with YouTube and I get to my 1,000 subscribers and my watch hours. Like, if that's when things get crazy, because that's when I've got a lot of different stuff going on. That I'm excited.
You'll get there.
You'll be there soon. You'll be there quicker than you know it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, on all honesty, I didn't expect to be anywhere I'm at now. I mean, I feel like I've made some good growth. I feel like I've been putting content on YouTube now, I think for 7 months. And I think I didn't expect to be where I'm at now until like a year. I thought I would be like maybe between like 500 and 600 followers or subscribers at like the year mark. So, and continuing on like doing the weekly shows and things like that, I didn't expect it, but at this rate, who knows what's going to happen, but I'm excited.
Yeah.
Wire wrapping, I'm adding that to the list. Yes. Because that looks like a lot of fun. Plus that, also and then like up. that Viking chainmail that you made too, like that is, and I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole tonight looking up that stuff.
I wanted to know how to do that for years. Like I literally for like I'm gonna just go for it and tell you like at least 20 years I've been wanting to be able to do this. And like it's ridiculous. I'm like, no, this is not what you do. You set bezels and you do and then like I talk myself down. And this I'm sure happens to you guys. And I think it was your fault, Kurt. Was that I was watching your video and I was over there working at my bench pin, and I'm, sawing and working with the Fordham with my bits, Kyle, and doing the thing. And his video ended, and you know how you get like the next one and the next one and the next one. Well, my hands are busy, and so I'm like, okay, whatever, not interested. Gonna have to like go back to Kurt so that I can type a comment and whatever. And I'm trying to remember, and then the Viking rap one comes on, or and I was like. Like, wait, what?
Hold up.
And and it was one of those things where they're like, do you have this gauge wire? And I was like, yeah. And do you have this? Do you have an Allen wrench hanging around? And I was like, yeah. And like, how about these pliers? Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is awful. And so I left. I don't think I was working on the bulk of this pendant yet, but like I left whatever was on the thing, and I was just like, okay, tape, yes, okay, cutters, yep. And so I'll just make the start. I'll just make the start of it, and like 4 hours later, I was like,
so yeah, doing
I'll
like
look that up later.
I think doing any kind of chainmail it's almost in a way, it's also very therapeutic because you're just sitting there and you're focused on what you're doing. Because I was taught in Job Corps from one of my roommates. He taught me the basic 4-in-1 pattern with like some huge steel rings, and from there, like it was awesome. I just made it like a small little, that much of a chainmail thing, and
oh wow.
From there, I just learned how to just go to. I mean, I didn't have all the tools then, but I just went to the craft store and bought a bunch of jump rings, and I was making like different stuff out of it, and
so that's made out of jump rings.
Yeah, I just bought a bunch of jump rings.
So this the Viking weave is continuous. Right? Oh, you're like literally weaving with metal. I was like, I can't not do it now.
Ooh, that's even more exciting.
I know, right?
Wow.
So I'll make
That's
a
cool.
video.
Do it.
So go down the rabbit hole, everyone. But like also, I'll do one too, and then it'll be super like ABC because I'm a beginner, and so. But yeah, and I used the liver of sulfur, Kyle. Like I made it. You can see that it's dark copper. Yeah. So I made it black, and then I brought it. Yeah. So
nice.
Okay, sorry, Kurt. Are you still showing and telling?
I'm done. It is Kyle's turn.
Okay, so actually, technically, it's Theo. So Theo couldn't be with us tonight. He had a bunch of stuff going on.
Sorry, Theo.
Miss you, Theo.
So, Tyler, you'll probably see these pictures tomorrow when the video goes up.
How much fun! Good. Yeah, you get to see parts of the podcast you didn't even get to see.
Oh, yeah.
Surprise!
Wow.
So the first picture that he sent two different pictures. The first one.
Wow, look at that.
Perfect. Yes, keep on.
But the first one is an ammonite with a baculite underneath of it. Yeah, it's actually pretty cool.
Sorry.
But yeah, it's actually pretty cool, and yeah. So thank you, Theo, for that one, and I'll
thanks.
Extend the pictures a little bit longer.
Right, for Cloud. Yes, actually, these are amazing, of course. And he wanted us to make sure to mention about the fantastic sutures. There are fantastic sutures in that ammonite, and he'd be like, it's so pretty.
Yes.
And the top one is the Hoploscaphites.
Right? Yeah, I'll leave the big words to you, Karen.
Yeah, thanks.
There you go, Theo. Ooh.
And then he has a show and tell number B, which is my gosh, that is a big word.
Yeah. The place into Ceres. Place into Ceres probably would be the closest to the Latin that I'm gonna get. Oh, and that's the one with the fantastic sutures.
Yeah.
Yeah, I jumped the gun.
It's okay. So yeah. And then and on top of so I'm reading his wording here. Sutures, then the top one is a
Hoploscaphites.
Scaphites? I think it's Scaphites.
Or Scaphites?
Yeah.
Poplar Scaphites?
That sounds right.
Oh. I like Scaphites. It sounds feisty. Never mind. Moving on.
But no, thank you, Theo, for getting those to us. And if you're in the chat, thanks for submitting your show and tell.
And they're so pretty.
Oh my gosh, so pretty.
Oh my gosh.
There we go.
One day I'll perfect my impersonation. I'll be able to do all of you guys.
Get a soundboard. So
Okay, so
a button and it's a clip of their voice.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh yeah, there you go. You could just be sampled.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there's my show and tell. So again, birthday week, and then so Amy got me a UVB light, and I've been wanting to get one of these, and I couldn't really afford to buy an $80. I think it's like an $80 flashlight. And
nice.
Since River has come into our lives, usually we'll hide gifts before we give them out. This literally came in an Amazon package, and like on the package is like batteries, like on the side of the package. I'm like, I wonder if that's a UV light, because it sat in the corner next to the TV for like a few days prior, and I'm like, I know that's mine because it's happened before. I think for like Valentine's Day, like my gift sat on top of the table, like still in this Amazon box for like a week.
Oh, that's torture, Amy! Unbelievable. I just be like,
but we understand, like we're super busy, and we know like it's in a box. I mean, this could have been anything, but I'm like, I'm 90% sure that is what I think it is.
Perhaps it's 6 more binkies.
Yeah. For those listening, before we started the podcast, we had to go on a binky search. We had 6 of them, and now we only have 1, and we don't know where the rest of them went. So
all parents know. They understand.
Like under the couch. That's where always are. They always ended up under the couch.
Yeah. No, we're gonna be doing a lot of searching tomorrow. See that I go to Walmart and buy out their binky supply. But going back to this light here. This thing is awesome. It might not show very well here on the webcam camera, but
that's working.
Actually, hang on. Yeah, let me do this really quick. I tried this earlier and didn't work very well, so.
So let's do it again.
After a while, it looked okay.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I don't know if you can see it fade.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Afterglow.
Yeah. Pay dirt. You got it.
Is that the one that you posted on TikTok?
Yep.
That's so cool, man.
And then I have what's it? Not uranium glass. Well, what'd you say it was earlier, Tyler?
Irradiated.
Yeah, irradiated glass. So it looks pink, right? Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, not
crazy.
Pink.
Isn't that cool?
UV lights are
great.
Awesome.
But yeah, I have a couple chunks of this glass, and it's pretty awesome. It's different colors. Yes.
So what you should do now is when it's night or when you can't sleep, go out in your backyard with that light.
I was just thinking
with your rock pile and see what all pops out.
Oh, don't
K-Rock in the rock pile.
I did.
Did you?
And I'll have to make it. I mean, I went there without doing a recording, but I will have to go out there with the recording. I got a little excited because I saw like a super bright red color on some petrified wood. I'm like, oh man, what is that? Because there's a lot of bright colors going on out there. Yeah. But there was one that was super bright fluorescent red. I picked it up and realized it was organic matter, so it's like moss or something.
I did that the other night in the riverbed.
It's like some kind of like radioactive bird poo, like
or something. Yeah. But no, there's a lot of cool stuff out there. So like, don't worry, I will be making a video. I will make sure that my batteries are charged because, I mean, when I got this, I got home and it was like 4:45 or something like that. I'm like, I have to wait a few hours before I can even go use this because I want to go out in the rock pile and lick the rocks with a cool light. And a lot of the petrified woods really glowed. Mm-hmm. And there was one agate nodule that really glowed too, like more than the rest. So look forward to that video here in the near future because it's gonna be exciting.
Can't wait.
Have any of you guys gotten any petrified wood from Ragnar Rocks, any of the stuff he's got from Saddle Mountain, that
I'm-
stuff is really, really crazy under the UV.
I'm
Really
pretty
deep
sure I
orange
have.
stuff.
I'm pretty sure I have some Saddle Mountain probably in that pile because that rock estate came from.
Check it out.
Yeah, a lot of it came from the Northwest, so I'm pretty sure there's some Saddle Mountain in there.
Cool.
It's a lot of cool
I think I
colors.
have some from Jared.
Is it because a lot of the Saddle Mountain petrified wood is opalized, or is there?
It doesn't go all the way through. I've cut some, and it seems to be surface. There is like a layer of like calcium that's on there too. That's so it seems like whatever happened to it is like embedded in like maybe an eighth of an inch that goes in, because it's even under the calcium that's on it too, but it doesn't go all the way through, so I'm not too sure, but it's very, very vibrant red, or not red, orange.
Cool.
So it's interesting.
Hmm.
So yeah, definitely worth checking out if you got some in that pile.
Yeah,
It'll stick out.
I'm sure it will. But yeah, that does it for show and tell. So we can move into words of wisdom, and again, we'll start with Tyler.
Oh boy, put on the spot. Words of wisdom. I guess words I could share from somebody who had no intentions of becoming a YouTuber, and here I am 7 months later with a decent following, I should say, and a lot of awesome friends. Is I don't want to sound like cheesy and do the obligatory like don't give up.
But it's okay. We've definitely
to new rock hounds, don't be afraid to ask questions. From, like I said, from being somebody who didn't anticipate being in a position where I have a YouTube channel and things like that, and starting off in those big rock collecting groups and stuff on Facebook, don't be afraid to ask questions. And I would also say, don't be afraid of the responses you get, because unfortunately in our community, there are a lot of people who feel they know a lot, and they feel their knowledge is better than other people's knowledge. And it is unfortunate all the amount of people that I've seen be discouraged from the hobby because they ask a simple question that they value as a genuine question, and then just have somebody who comes in and has 25 years of experience in the field and knows exactly what it is, and they just tear them down with a few words. So I would say, don't be discouraged, to ask questions, and don't be discouraged if, somebody says it's the wrong question. There's no wrong questions. You're not going to learn anything unless you ask. So that'd be my tidbit.
I love it.
Yeah,
that is so awesome.
That's good advice, because
It is
people
exceptional.
People can get quickly discouraged by those that.
Yep.
Yeah. So
yeah, I've personally argued with and chased out of the amateur geology group, I would say at least a good dozen just trolls and people who just didn't need to be in the group, because the group is the amateur geology group, and there was times where there was a lot of people who were not amateurs and they just tried to be jerks. And we're all learning. I learned words tonight on this podcast that I've never even heard of. Wolfenite, that was a mineral I'd never heard of until earlier. And it's everybody's always learning, even the people who have been doing this for decades. And I think everybody here can say that. There's no point you'll get to where you'll know everything. So
yeah,
I love that. Yeah, there's always, the more you know, the more you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
So good. Right on. So I watched a spider weave a web on my Fordham. Like, there were two garden spiders, and out here they make them as big as kitty cats. I mean, there's a reason for like the Halloween thing. Like, the spiders are crazy big out here. And so one of them had made its way inside and was like literally just right over there on my Fordham. And I like, at first my knee-jerk reaction typically is to just, scoop somebody up with like a chopstick or, something like one of my dops, and just to take them outside, go back to the garden. But for a minute, I just couldn't take my eyes off of this spider, because I couldn't figure out what it was doing. And the engineering of that web, after just watching this spider for a minute, blew my mind what this spider was able to engineer. And I had just mentioned doing the Viking weave, and I just, for a moment, I just had this incredible kind of catharsis about, wow, this incredible engineering that we are afforded the knowledge to be able to do, that we can make a thing that sticks to our neck and is beautiful. And what Kurt does and what Tyler does and what Kyle does, we've got these amazing gifts, and it's not enough to just witness it and see how beautiful it is, but it's to do and it's to share. And so I like the idea of sharing that. And so I think it's wonderful. All of you guys do exactly that. You know a thing, and just like you were talking about, instead of like just being jaded, which is no pun, jaded rockhounds. But no, you're not going to let it again calcify with you, but you're going to go ahead and send it back out into the world. I think that's a really wonderful thing. Keep on sharing.
Nice. Yeah, I like that.
Oh, hey, you have a cat now. I didn't
yeah, if I don't hold him, he is going to ugly.
He's a wizard.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm a
Kurt, how about you, Kurt?
Well, I guess I'll just kind of go in with what y'all are going into for words of wisdom. But if you're trying something new for the first time, like, don't give up. Like, there's tutorial videos out there, or you can just look at something and then just picture how it's made. Or if you're just making something and you get frustrated, stop, take a break, go back to it, and just keep trying. And the more you do it, the better you'll become. And just whatever you set your mind to, like they always say, you can always do it. It's just keep trying. And yeah, so hope that was okay.
That's a perfect segue into my words of wisdom.
There you go.
Which is 4 words: no grit, no pearl.
Love that one a lot. Yeah, it's
quite literally the same version of what Kurt just said. Just keep at it.
Yep.
But concise and succinct. But it was both ways were really good, guys.
Yeah.
But that will do it for words of wisdom. Karen, if you want to go ahead and start taking this out.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyler, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
It has been awesome. Thank you guys for having me. I've watched it since it started, and I always had like the secret hope, like, man, I'm gonna be on that podcast one day. And so like Kurt hit me up and be like, hey, you want to be on the podcast? Because he had saw my stream and he saw my sauce. I was like, oh, he's gonna like ask about the sponsorship. And then he did kind of, and then he hit me with that, and I was like, that was my response. Like, I put my phone down and I'm like, really? Like, I didn't believe it. So I mean, I still consider myself like small time compared to like your guys' channels and some of the people you guys have had on here. So it is definitely an honor to be invited on here and to be here. Hopefully I haven't, rambled on too much and annoyed people, but it's been a lot of fun.
What a pleasure. No, and I think it was Jesse that said that there are no small channels. Like everybody, we're in this together, you guys, as a big community. And it's super awesome, super fun. So many cool people. And so, yes, thank you, Tyler. And everybody out there that are listening, please let us know where you're listening from. Also, we value what you have to say. So if you've got suggestions or recommendations for future guests, anything, tell us more about Wolfenite, whatever it is that you'd love to tell us about, please hit us up into the comments. Let us know where you're listening from. And then also for your viewer show and tell, rockhoundroundtable at gmail.com. And you can send your questions and comments there too, if you don't want them to be, in the public sphere, and we'll get back to you. And so again, from all of us here, thank you so much for tuning in and making it to the very end.
Yeah, thanks.
Rock on.
Rock on.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.